For the book report for this subject.
There's no book report. There's no book report. There's one 4-page paper.
Okay.
We've been talking about it the whole semester. We're going to talk about it again this morning, so we'll answer all the questions about
So
that.
there is no
There's no book report. Just the 4-page paper. That's it.
You have the subject. When you have the subject? When is the last day for submission?
Tuesday.
Is the class will be here or no?
No class.
What's in
Just we'll talk about that. We're going to answer all those questions here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. You can see we do not have the projector up today, so you may want to pull up a PowerPoint on your computer. If you want to look through some of those with us today, we're going to do a review to whatever degree satisfies you in preparation for your 4-page reflection assessment. All right? So let's just back up a little bit and see if we can answer the questions before they get asked. I want to ask you to not go back through all of your course syllabus and look at all the things that came from different places about things that are due. You do not have a book critique due. Somebody say praise the Lord. Because that probably should have been shocking to you if you had. You do not have a book critique due. You do not have a final exam per se. Your final exam is a 4-page reflection assessment that we've been talking about almost every class for the last month, right? Everybody aware? Does that shock anybody? Anybody disappointed? Would you like a 2-page final exam to go with the 4-page paper? We're not going to do that. So I want you to give your full attention to writing this. And I know some of you have expressed, I don't write papers. Well, one of these days you're going to be invited to be employed at some business or give a resume or your views about something, and you're going to need to learn how to do it. So this is a good place to start. And hopefully we've made it easy for you. Now, there's a couple of things that you'll use to draw from if you haven't already started on your paper. I want to encourage you to go back and look at the first 2 PowerPoints that we gave you. They're both in your student portal, the course documents portal. And I'm going to take you to a couple of key slides on those PowerPoints that will help you to really know what the key characteristics are. I have also uploaded in your course documents my own notes from what we've done these first 11, 12 chapters of Acts and the first few chapters of the textbook. You say, well, why didn't you give that to us earlier? Well, because then you wouldn't have taken your own notes, would you? So I want you to use your notes, of course, but then I have mine there that you can cross-reference just to see if there's something there that you might have missed. Okay, so those show up in your course documents as what's it called? Reflection paper notes. I think that's it. Yes, sir.
Do you know if you want us to upload the 4-page?
I'm going to get to all of that. Yes, thank you. I'm going to get to all of that. You're going to have 24 hours every minute that is called Tuesday, November the 17th. You're going to have availability to upload that exam. If you upload it on the student portal after midnight on Tuesday, it's going to be late. I was able to give a lot of flexibility on the midterm, but I have to turn all the grades in on Wednesday. That doesn't give me much time to grade all of these papers. And if you got 4 times 50 something, then that's a lot of pages to read. So the sooner you can get that in, if you finish it on Monday and you can send that in before you go to bed midnight on Tuesday night, 12:01, something like that, then do that. And that'll be a blessing. So we will not be meeting here on Tuesday. This is our last class. Your assignment for Tuesday is to submit your 4-page paper. It's 5 pages if you count a cover page. 5 pages if you count a cover page. We've had one student that's already turned the paper in. I'm going to ask you, since you've got it on your computer, just go ahead and upload it again to me in the student portal. That way I can just bang, 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 go through them and grade them. All right. So you have Tuesday, the 17th, to submit that in the student portal the way you normally would. It'll be there where the final exams are normally listed, and it'll be listed as final exam. Okay. And you'll just upload it. Click on it, upload. So this needs to be 1-inch margins, double spaced, 12-point fonts. Don't give me 16-point font. Fudge on your space. We know all those tricks. I used them myself. 12-point font. Times New Roman is easy. Either that or Arial. And okay, you guys know this drill now. You're tired of hearing it. So what are the first 3 pages going to be about? The key characteristics and principles that we see in the way the first century church thought about and did evangelism. It's about evangelism. But what did the first century church think about that? You've got just really the first chapter in your textbook that helps you. But if you go through the first 3 chapters or so, you kind of get ideas of where it goes. The further you go in the textbook, the further you get away from the first century. And then you're just looking at the trajectory and where we got off, right? So you don't have so much of that. We didn't have time to get there, but you do have all your notes, the group work that you did. Now, somebody asked me by email yesterday, do we have a paper for the group project? There is no group project. Everybody okay? We did the work to help you gather the information for this 4-page paper. So if you're thinking that's a group project, okay, but a group project, all of the group would help write the paper. You don't get that opportunity in this final exam. You don't get to have the group help you write your paper. The group helped you dissect and glean truths out of these passages and out of the chapters, and you were to be taking notes while you were doing that group work. Remember, I'm sounding kind of stern. I don't want to sound stern. You're supposed to be taking notes. You're supposed to be taking notes, happy notes, while the group is talking. And now you have really all your paper stuff is there, right? So the final exam is for you to do, not for your group to do for you. If you need between now and Tuesday to talk to some buddies and shell out $5 or $10 for a copy of their notes, then that's between you and them. You can borrow their notes if you want to do that. And if somebody sat around in the group and they didn't talk much and they didn't take any notes, then I would charge them $10 or $15 for my set of notes. But of course, I'm giving them to you for free. Because I'm so nuts. So the final is your 4-page paper. There's no book critique. There's no book report. There's no group project. This is it. Any questions about that? Yes, sir. Cover page.
Just the name, class, and
There's 3 basic things for a cover page. You're going to have the name of the class. You're going to have your name. Put your ID on there with it. That's great. Some of you have 4 or 5, 16 names. I don't know which one to call you. So I've been paralyzed with that. So just give me the name you go by. Okay, that'd be nice. So if I see you next semester, maybe I get a better shot at it. Your name, the class. I think this is 320 or 319, first century evangelism, and the dates. So that'll be Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. That's what you put on there. That's on the cover page. Okay, that's easy peasy. Don't worry about where it is. Best if you just put it in the middle. Try to go to the middle, center justify. Everybody understand the difference? So right, left justify, center. Do center, then aim for the middle. And just give me those 3 things. And that'll be good. Okay? That way you don't use any space up in the margins of the rest of the pages for headers. Name, class, date, title. Don't do any of that. That's why you just do it on that cover page. So on the 4 pages, there's nothing but your paper. Nico?
So the cover page is separate from the 4 pages, correct?
No, it's all one paper.
So it counts like
5 pages. Cover page is a page, but you don't count it with your content. 4 pages of content and a cover page.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah. So 5 pages total. And this is standard. If you leave here and go to DBU, you leave here and go to Grand Canyon University, something like that, that's going to be standard stuff. You'll always have a cover page, and that's so that you don't clog up your content pages with that repeat information. So don't put it in a header. Your headers are clean. Your cover page has that information. right? So you have 4 full pages, and you're going to take about 20 pages of notes, and you're going to condense that down into 4 dense, one statement after another. You're not doing a whole bunch of fluff and foo-foo. I kind of think this about that, and this could have been that, but this is what I see. This is where we get off, and then you go on a 2-page rant about something you don't like about the church. That's not what this is about. This is 3 pages of drawing out the key characteristics and principles, and those are repeated for us over and over again by Luke. Remember? And then you're going to assess those, and you're going to have a few little parenthetical references through the paper. Acts chapter 10, 38. Boom. You don't quote the whole verse there. That's taking up space. So you just put it in your own words in the sentence statement. Then you put Acts 10:38 in the mark, or whatever that is. If you're quoting something from the book, don't give me the book name and all of that. Just give me the page number. Since we've only had one book to work from, when I see page 238 or page 6 or page 12, I'm going to know what book we're talking about. So this is very simple for you, and it'll be easy for me if you just keep it very simple. So when you're using a verse or a section, all you do is put that in your own words in the statement that you're making, and then the reference, scripture reference. Okay? In fact, you don't even have to use Acts. You can just put 10:38. You can put 1:12, because Acts is the only thing we're looking at. Now, if you use something other than Acts, then use that. Mark 7:19, something like that. Okay? So dense in content, not a bunch of foo-foo. Well, when I was 6, somebody came and handed me a tract, and I read that, and da-da-da-da-da-da, and a page and a half later, I gave my heart to Jesus. That's not what this paper is about. Okay? It's not your personal reflection of your own evangelism. It's your reflections on the text and the history. Yeah? You were first?
So if we say we only use the book of Acts in the paper, are you going to then notice points if we didn't use the straight version of the book?
No, and I'll tell you why. This is not a knock on anything or anybody, but that book is not really ideal for this subject matter. Okay. So we didn't get to use it much. And so if you don't draw from the book, if I don't see a reference from the textbook in the paper, I'm not going to count you off for that. Because from my perspective, the book of Acts is really where we get the most bang for the buck in what we're trying to accomplish with this. Okay. If you throw one in once in a while, and I know that you've read something of the textbook, that's good. And you'll know that I'll grade these on the computer, and on my screen, I can just click right, click right, click right, and I just go from page to page. So the first thing I'll do when I pull up yours is I just click through the pages. What am I looking for? References. I'm going to see how many references you cite through your paper before I ever read what you say. Because that tells me to what depth you went into thinking through this problem. If you just given me your thoughts on it, but you don't reference anything, then you've not anchored your thoughts into the hard history. So anchor it into the history, and we've given you plenty of stuff to do that with. Okay? What did we say the other day about the first paragraph? Somebody help me. What's the first paragraph going to look like?
Introduce what you're going to say, so the key principles that you're extracting from Acts.
Yeah. So I'm going to suggest you go to one of these 2 PowerPoints, or both of them. Let me give you just a go-to right here, right now. First, we'll go to PowerPoint number 1. This was the first PowerPoint that we looked at, and we spend a lot of time talking about how to look at Acts through the interpretive lens of chapter 1, chapter 2, and then how to look at the New Testament through the interpretive lens of the book of Acts. Remember all that? So it was a little bit of hermeneutics, how to understand the scripture we're looking at. And then we gave you the author's plan and the purpose and the introduction, and we talked about what makes Luke tick and what's he trying to convey here. But we get down to slide number 14. You might just want to make a note of it. Slide 14, PowerPoint number 1. Luke is a sequel, and we list thematic structural parallels, prayer, the work of the Spirit, a gospel for all people, similar miracles, similar to Jesus' own ministry, the journey motif. Okay, so there's some key characteristics in the book of Acts that will help us kind of give an outline to our paper. That's one way to look at it. Okay, then we go on down. Let me just see. The last, let's see, from slides 20 to 27. Oh, I'm making this so easy for you. We talk about some themes. Holy Spirit is a theme. So we see in the book of Acts, we see the same people being filled with the Spirit over and over again. Not just the outpouring, the initial outpouring in 2, but in 3 and 5 and 7, they're getting filled with the Spirit again. And yeah, new people are being added, but same people are there over and over again. So what does that say to us about the impact on evangelism? Slide 21 is about God's purposes. Slide 22 is about the church. Of course, that would be significant here. And the church is the launching pad, if you will, for our evangelism, right? So everything we're talking about here, you draw it back to what's the impact on evangelism? Here's your big question. What's the impact on evangelism? How did this cause them to think about their ministry to the world? Prayer. Do we see them praying about anybody other than themselves? We see prayers in the book of Acts. Are they just praying, me and my 4 no more, and Lord, come bless me? Or do we see them praying for the nations? Praying that God would give them boldness to speak. Grant unto thy servants that with all boldness we may speak thy word by stretching forth your hand to heal, and that signs and wonders be done. Who's that for? That's not just for the church. That's everywhere they go. Suffering is a theme. Gentiles, and the suffering largely comes from when they go tell, doesn't it? Gentiles is a key theme. Witness is a key theme. So you'll see those, the last 6 or 7 slides on PowerPoint number 1. Just go back and review that. What's going to be hard for you is to take all of those things and get those down to 4 or 5 or 6 and get that into a succinct first paragraph. And all your first paragraph is going to say is, this paper is to extract the key ideas that drove the church in its mission to change the world. That might be your first sentence. Then you say, we're going to see through the book of Acts that prayer and suffering and the ministry and life of the church, the needs of the people, were a key motivator in their thinking about evangelism. Man, I'm just writing the paper for you, right? So you're going to take all these themes and you're going to just get them down to 4 or 5 sentences. And in that first paragraph, you're telling me exactly what you're going to talk about in that paper. Now, Luke showed us how to do this, didn't he? In Luke chapter 1, he says, this gospel is going to be preached to where? Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the uttermost parts. That's his first paragraph. And then his whole treatise just goes down that thing. You look at all the stories he tells. First it's Jerusalem, then it's Judea, then it's Samaria, then it's the uttermost parts of the earth. So this is what you're doing. You're taking all of these key characteristics and principles that you've gleaned from your stuff, and you're going to put them almost in bullet points, but don't use bullet points. In full sentences, but that first paragraph, these are the key things that motivated the early church to win the world. And then second paragraph, you go back and you start with the first one, and then you articulate why that's important. And then you go back to the first paragraph and you grab the second one, and then you articulate why that's important. Then you go back to the first paragraph, you grab the third point that you mentioned, and then you articulate that. And before you know it, you filled up 3 pages, and you say, I didn't even get to my 4th, 5th, and 6th one. So then you have to go back and make it more concise. Write, rewrite. Then you get to page 4, and you're going to shift your focus to what does this mean for us today. You might even start you're taking notes, this will help you. You might even start with that question. So, what does this mean for us in the 21st century? Then I would go back to the first paragraph and I would take each one of those points and address what we see different or the same. Where have we missed it? Where are we getting it right? Where are we doing it better? Where are we doing it worse? And this is not just your opinion. I want you to give me some verification. In other words, we see today that we're losing market share, less than 30%. You know, in Dallas-Fort Worth, I think we're at about 9% of our total population is in church on Sunday morning. 9%. Down in Houston, it was 8% last time I checked. 8%. What does that mean about evangelism? So if you have a few facts like that, it helps. Okay, if your church, the church you attend, is going and doing these things you're talking about, then that's something you would have some stories to tell. But you're not going to have a lot of time to tell stories. What I want you to do is think. I want to just be able to see that you've taken those things. Okay, I see what they did there. I see what life was like there. Why is it different for us? There's some very simple reasons that it's different for us. And one in Texas is because you don't just walk up and down the streets and see everybody in town, right? If you're going to see anybody, you got to get in the car and go. You know, I mean, we're spread out. So things are very spread out. We live in a different culture. There are some normal things that, to no fault of anybody's, we live in a different kind of a world. So make those kinds of connections. And then I would really like to see somebody talk somewhere there about the fact that if they're being added to the church daily, the church needs to be meeting daily so that those people are getting engrafted into the church daily. If that's the case, where are we? Are we ready for a real move of God? Are we ready for a real outpouring of His Spirit? Are we ready for a global awakening? Are we ready for people to be added to the church daily? Or are we happy to get them saved on Monday and they've already fallen out by Saturday before they get engrafted into a church? You know that happens. Okay, so let's go to the second PowerPoint. I see your enthusiasm about this, and so I'm going to keep moving. In the second PowerPoint, I'm on slide number 6, PowerPoint 2, slide number 6, and the question there is, what was normal? Remember this? What was normal? It was normal for all believers to be filled with the Spirit. It was normal for believers to live a dynamic relationship of koinonia, fellowship, sharing. It was normal for believers to meet together for prayer, fellowship, teaching, day to day, house to house. It was normal for signs, wonders, and miracles to happen through the believers. Okay, so there are some more key characteristics. They overlap with what we said in the earlier one, but that's going to be the easy peasy part. And I hope you glance through the rest of those and make sure you don't miss anything. And then if you need something besides your own notes, then you can look at my notes that I put there in your portal. You might want to just glean those. And what I've added, I didn't use the third page, 2/3 page like I asked you to do, but in yellow highlight, I highlighted the questions under each of those key concepts. What questions does this raise? I would even suggest to you that if you get to page 4 and you say, oh my gosh, I'm done. I've used up all my words. I don't know what else to say. Then I would go to some of these documents in your own notes and I would just start listing questions. What kind of questions does this raise for us today? Just start asking the questions. Be good if you have some answers for the questions. But if you're done, if you don't know what else to say, you've never done this before, and you're scared out of your wits, just go to your notes and just start listing the questions that this evokes in you. Because what that does tell me, even though you may not have a lot of analysis from there, at least you're asking some questions about that in regards to this. So the whole idea is for us to see what the church did and why, what was the motivator behind that, and then where are we lacking or sufficient in it. And I think if you were to ask Luke, knowing everything that Luke wrote, he would talk quite a bit about the fullness of the Spirit. Right? Why do you have a desire to evangelize unless you're full of Him? So that's key. So we said the other day, chapter 10, chapter 11 is the hinge point right in the middle where Luke repeats Peter's story going to Cornelius' house, repeats it 3 times in a row. Now, what's he saying? Now, this has got to break out and get to the whole world. Now. Okay? So that could be a key theme for you. Any questions? Silence. This will be a great time to ask it. Yes, sir.
So we email you how much you read in the book.
Don't eat. Thank you. Yeah. No. 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 I don't want to give you a grade on something that we have not put a priority on. I don't think that would be fair. You say, you're only going to get a few chapters in, and I know a lot of you didn't even buy the book. I don't want to shame you, but leaders read and readers lead. Start building a library, even if it's on your computer. So that being said, I'm not going to ask you how many chapters you read. I know I said I would, but I think we're okay with that. I think I can get enough grades for you without that. Is that all right? How many of you thinking about appealing to the administrative office because you want the question asked? How many chapters you read? Anybody going to appeal to the? No? Okay. Everybody say, what? In other words, I won't get in trouble if I don't ask you how many chapters you read. All right. Thank you. All right. So you're good to go. Again, if you need more notes, hit up your friends. Find the smartest person in your group and see if they'll get you a set of your notes. And you have any time all day on Tuesday to submit that. Please understand we will not be meeting here next Tuesday. This is our last class. Everybody feels like they got everything? Good? All right. Blessings. Thank you for your patience. And I know you're going to do good. I pray the Lord will give you a hearing ear to let Him speak to you even while you're writing the paper. Amen. Have a great Thanksgiving holiday, Christmas holiday. Hope to see many of you in January, February. Did I tell you I'm teaching a couple of classes next semester? I'm teaching the gifts of the Spirit, and I'm teaching the Abba journey. All of those are things that I've written, and they've asked me to teach it. So look and see. Those no doubt will be electives. I'm not sure if those are third year or what, but just look and see and look for it. I hope to have you there. And that's going to be a lot of fun. It's the material that we're living in and working in and doing ministry through right now. So it's alive in me, and it'll be a lot of fun teaching it. Blessings. Have a good one.
I really have a question for you because I have an idea to make my reflection paper like this. I want to make like a.
Hold that second, just a second. I want to say bye to these folks online, and then so you're not speaking to all of them. All right, y'all. I hope you got it. You've got the PowerPoints in your portal. Look at those things, and then submit that paper on Tuesday. Blessings. Thank you for your patience. Good to have you with us. Bye-bye.